Good day and God bless everyone. This is Quinlindi Bitacora from North Central Mindanao College, and I will be your English teacher for today. In today's world, communication plays a vital role in our daily living. With the advent of technology around us, it is still noticeable that we cannot do away with proper communication, be it in our daily conversation or during important events. Thus, to be one in heart and mind means to understand each other. Grammar provides rules for common use of both spoken and written language, so we can easily understand each other. This would help us to avoid committing miscommunications and getting misinterpreted by this very competitive world. With that, let's have an activity first before digging deeper to the lesson. So what are you going to do is to describe the following pictures that will be projected in the screen. So please get your activity notebook and answer the following. Okay, now let's have the activity entitled Define Me. The first picture. So give your own descriptions from the first picture. The second picture. So, what have you observed from the picture? Okay, now let's proceed with the third picture. Okay, now let's have the number 4. Okay, now let's have the last picture. Okay, class, from the pictures that I have showed to you, what do you think is our topic for today? Okay, very good. Thank you so much, class. Our topic for today is all about grammar as a tool in making meaning. So, let's have the objectives or the intended learning outcomes of our lesson for today. This lesson was designed to help you master the use of correct grammar to make meaning in your daily life. After going through this lesson, you are expected to use correct grammatical structure in making meaning. Define unfamiliar words by following the guidelines. Apply appropriate grammar in making definitions. And lastly, realize the importance of basic guidelines in writing definitions or statements. And now, let's recall the basic rules of grammar. We have here the first rule is to use of active voice. We have here the formula, which is S plus V plus O, in which S represents subject, while V stands for verb and O stands for object. For example, I did not like the cat. So the I here is the subject, while the like here is the verb, and the cat represents the object. Another example is Mary walked her little sister. So Mary is the subject and walk is the verb and the little sister is the object. Let's proceed with the second rule of grammar. We have here the second rule, which is to link ideas with a conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions are easy to remember with an acronymic mnemonic device called FANBOYS. It stands for one coordinating conjunction, which are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. It is used when you want to link two ideas with a second SVO combination. This creates a new layout for you to follow. We have here the formula, which is S plus V plus O plus coordinating conjunction plus another S plus V and O. For example, the cat found the rat, but it ran to the alley. The coordinating conjunction there is the but. Before but, the subject is cat, and the verb is found, and the object is rat. After the coordinating conjunction but, the subject is it, and the verb is ran while the object is alley. The third rule is to use a comma to connect two ideas as one. Coordinating conjunctions are used to connect two ideas, but don't forget the comma. For example, I was jogging while she was walking. So what you can observe from the example, the placement of the comma is after the first statement, before the coordinating conjunction, followed with the second statement or idea. The fourth rule is to use a serial comma in a list. The serial or Oxford comma is a controversial rule of grammar. Some want to eliminate it altogether, while others just don't know how to use it. The serial comma is the last comma in a list, usually appearing before and. So, for example, you can see the serial comma comes after dog in the sentence. For example, pets are us, has lizards, dogs, and birds. Commas separate units in a list. In the example sentence, each unit only has one part, so it's easy. Where people get confused is when the units are bigger, but the rule still applies. For example, pets are us has lizards and frogs, dogs and cats, and parakeets and macaws. Notice that the serial comma comes before and but not in the last and in the sentence. The and that follows the comma is only there to discuss the two types of birds. Number 5 rule. Use the semicolon to join two ideas. The two ideas can be separate sentences, but you think that they are so closely connected. They really should be one. Use a semicolon. For example, my heart is like a cup of laksang sochong tea. It's bitter and smoky. Number 6 rule. Use the simple present tense for habitual actions. Simple present is the tense you use for any habitual action. For example, the things you always do or do every Tuesday are described with simple present, which just means you picked the basic form of any verb. For example, I run to Shelly's every other day. I walk Mary's dog on Wednesday. Number 7 rule. Use the present progressive tense for current action. The present progressive tense is for anything that is happening right now. All of the progressive tenses are easy to spot because their verbs always end with ing and get a helping verb. A helping verb is there so we know who and when the sentences is talking about. In the present progressive, the helping verbs are the present tense conjugations of to be. For example, I am drinking lapsang sochong tea. Lumen is playing with her hyperactive pet. Number 8 rule. Add ed to verbs for the past tense. When we talk about the past, we have to add an ed to regular verbs to make the past tense form. Irregular verbs are tricky and have their own sets of rules, but most of the time, you make it past tense by adding ed. For example, the dog stopped barking 2 seconds ago and I am feeling better. Number 9 rule. Present perfect for the unfinished past. The helping verb for the present perfect is the present tense conjugation of to have. For example, I have drunk 3 cups of laksang sochung tea today. Mary's hyperactive dog has bitten me 3 times. Number 10 rule. Present perfect progressive for unfinished action and past. When the action as well as time is considered unfinished, the verb loads up on present perfect form helping verbs to be and to have and changes to the progressive form. For example, Western countries have been waging wars in the Middle East for thousands of years. Number 11 rule. Use past perfect for the first of 2 past actions. When 2 things happen in the past, we have to mark which one happened first. The one that had happened first changes to the past perfect form and gets the helping verb had. For example, he could not pay for lunch because he had lost his wallet. Understanding and consistently following the basic English grammar rules will help you speak and write English correctly and with minimal hesitation. And it's one of the key steps to becoming proficient with the English language. And here are some of the basic guidelines to follow when writing a definition. Number 1. Just the dictionary facts. A definition should contain the information about the word and what the word refers to. Do not include usage notes and get to the point. Clarity, brevity, and conciseness are better when writing definitions. For example, the correct one stated that a directory is a kind of book that gives list of facts arranged in alphabetical order. An example of incorrect is a directory is a kind of book that gives list of facts or example of people's names, addresses, and telephone numbers, or the names and addresses of business companies usually arranged not in alphabetical order. The second one is to avoid complicated terms. Avoid terms that are more complicated or more technical than the term being defined, because the purpose of this is to clarify meaning. For example, the correct one, homeless means having no permanent place of residence, while the incorrect, homeless means involuntarily domiciled. We have number 3, avoid specific terms. Use of conventional English words in explanations whenever possible. The more widespread the term is, the more users will benefit. Stay away from jargon in which highly technical terms will most likely require a user to look up many terms in the definition just to understand what it says, although there are cases that involve the use of a technical term in a specialized field that it should be minimal. For example, the correct manner, acidity is the state of having acid excessively, while the incorrect, acidity is the state of having extreme vitriolic base. Number 4. Avoid circularity. It is not good to define a word without the same word in the definition. Instead, use of different terms. Avoid defining a term solely using etymologically or morphologically related terms. Adverbs are especially prone to being defined by the adjective from which they derived. For example, in the correct manner, we have here reputed as being in a state of rotten. While the incorrect manner we have here, putrid is being in a state of rotten, decayed, full, and being putrid all throughout. Number 5. Make it simple. Write with simple grammatical structures rather than complex ones, and place key terms and short explanations near the start of the definition. For example, the correct one: a storification is a process of adding narrative to a certain topic, while the incorrect one: a storification is a process of adding narrative to a certain topic, transforming some facts into a story that helps the reader to comprehend the passage that needs to be synthesized later on. A simple sentence contains a subject and a verb and may also have an object and modifiers. However, it contains only one independent clause. So every sentence requires a subject and a predicate. In the grammar world, this is called a subject-verb agreement. Subjects and verbs must agree with one another. It could be singular or plural. Thus, if the subject is singular, its verb must also be singular. If the subject is plural, its verb must be plural. So as with writing basic definitions and observing correct grammatical structure, it requires skills and practice. Okay class, let's have our first activity for today. Get a one-whole sheet of paper and please follow the directions and refer to the statement in the box. Let's have the first assessment. In letter A, identify and define. Directions. The article below represents the information about the causes of pandemic that we are experiencing. Read the article, then follow the instructions found in the table below after going over the details. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that cause illness ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, also known as MERS-CoV, and severe acute respiratory syndrome known as SARS-CoV. This kind of virus is a new strain that has not been previously identified in humans. Common signs of infection include respiratory symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, and breathing difficulties in more severe cases. Infection can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure, and even death. Select 5 unfamiliar words from the article above and define them using the simple grammatical structure. Okay class, let's proceed with the second activity for today's lesson. Assessment 2. Part 1. Chosen 1. Read the following sentences that define the words. Choose the correct way of making definitions based on the guidelines. Put a smiley on the space provided. Number 1. Pious is marked by showing devotion to divine worship. Pious is sacred, showing loyal reverence, and is being dedicated, faithful, and steadfast. Pious is opposite to being disloyal, being faithless, and fickle. Pious means being untrue, but devoted. Which do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is pious is marked by showing devotion to divine worship. Number 2. Blubber pertains to bubble and idle talk and a person who blubs. Blubber means to talk foolishly. Blubber is a term used by a person who always talks about nonsense ideas. blubber means to say and utter indiscreetly, idly, and excessively. Which do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is the second one, which is blubber means to talk foolishly. And now, let's proceed with number 3. Blaze is a word that is something that resembles the blaze of a fire like the dazzling display. Blaze refers to hell that is very hot. Blaze denotes an intensely burning fire. Blaze is to shoot rapidly and repeatedly and being conspicuously brilliant or resplendent. Which do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is the third one, which is blaze denotes an intensely burning fire. Let's proceed with part 2. Fill me in. Fill in the table below with 5 unfamiliar words from the lesson found in this module and define each using a dictionary. Take note of the guidelines in giving definition by observing correct grammatical structure. Be guided with the given rubrics. And now, class, let's have the third assessment. Act out and guess. Try to guess the scenario that I will state to you later. Write your answers on your activity notebook. Number 1. Grab the apple, eat it, and sleep. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is Snow White. Number 2. Hitting a home run, fetching, catching, and batting the ball. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is baseball or softball. Number 3. A Filipina singer who bend when singing, especially when hitting high notes. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is Belita Corrales. Number 4. Beauty Queen, Miss Universe 2018. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is Catriona Gray. Number 5. Male singer, King of Pop, Moonwalk, Billie Jeans. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is Michael Jackson. Congratulations for the job well done, class. And now, class, just sit and take your seatbelt and relax, for we will be having another journey to take. And now, class, let's have our fourth activity for today. For our next activity, it is called Apply It. Please get your activity notebook and follow the directions. Write your own definition of the following words. Please follow the guidelines and basic rules of grammar. You have 10 minutes to do the task. Time starts now. All right, time's up. And now, class, let's have our assessment 5. Answer the following essential questions that concludes the lesson in general. Write it in your activity notebook. Number 1. From the given rules of grammar, what do you think is the most important rule? Explain. Number 2. Out of 5 basic guidelines when writing a definition, which one is the most essential? Expound. Number 3. Why do you think that grammar is so important? In what way does grammar affect the daily living? Number 4. So what we should do in order to achieve an effective way of communication? Alright, job well done, class! And now, class, let's have our last activity for today's lesson. Evaluation. The first part is multiple choice. Read each item carefully. Choose the letter of your answer and write it on the space provided before each number. Number 1. Which of the following choices is incorrect when writing definition? A. Avoid defining the term solely using etymologically related terms. B. Avoid terms that are more complicated than the term being defined. C. Stay away from jargon. D. Clarity, brevity, and conciseness are unnecessary when writing definition. What do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer is letter D. Number 2. Is observing correct grammatical structure in writing definition significant? A. Yes, because subjects and verbs must disagree to each other. B. Yes, because subject-verb agreement unifies a sentence and makes it easier to understand. C. No, because the subject has to match with verb. The tendency is that the reader might find it hard to comprehend the definition. Letter D. No, because if you still consider observing correct grammatical structure, there will be inconsistency in writing your definition. What do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer is letter B. Number 3. In making definition, which of the following choices pertains to the idea of avoiding circularity in making definition? A. Get to the point when writing definition. B. Define a word with the same word in definition. C. Define a term solely using etymologically related terms. D. Go around the bush when defining a word. What do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer is letter A. Number 4. Which of the following statements is correct in writing a definition if your basis is making the definition simple? A. Write a definition with simple grammatical structure rather than complex ones. B. Use a highly technical terms in writing definition. C. Write a definition with complex grammatical structure rather than simple ones. D. Using terms that are more complicated in writing definition. What do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer is letter A. Number 5. The following are guidelines in making definitions except A. Just the opinion. B. Avoid complicated terms. C. Avoid specific terms. D. Make it simple. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. The answer is letter A. For items 6 to 8, consider the guidelines in making definitions by observing correct grammatical structure. Number 6. Which of the following is the correct definition of the underlined word in the box below? The long hike up to the mountain was extremely grueling. A. It is trying to go along the point of exhaustion. B. It is trying to go along the point of exhaustion punishment as well as the bellacious feelings. C. A point of exhaustion. D. Exhaustion and punishment in some cases differ. Which do you think is the answer? The answer is letter A. Number 7. Which of the following statements is the correct definition of the underlined word in the box below? I was so parched, I even drank an entire glass of water in one gulp. A. It is being deprived of natural moisture. B. Thirsty as an animal deprived from unnatural moisture. C. Thirsty and deprived of a natural moisture. D. Depriving of a natural moisture at the same time being thirsty. Which do you think is the answer? The answer is letter A. Number 8. Which of the following is the correct definition of the underlined word inside the box? Marcia is a novice soccer player. It is her first day of practice. A. A person admitted to probationary membership and at the same time being a beginner and a neophyte. B. A person admitted to probationary membership in a religion community, a newbie and a rookie. C. A person admitted to probationary membership in a religious community, a beginner and a neophyte. D. A person admitted to probationary membership, newbie. Which do you think is the answer? The answer is letter D. Number 9. How do you describe the grammatical structure in the given definition below? Pejorative expresses disapproval to a certain thing. A. Subject plus verb plus object. B. Noun plus adjective plus a verb. C. Adjective plus adjective. D. Subject plus adjective plus verb. What do you think is the answer? The answer is letter A. Number 10. Which of the following verbs supplies the blank in the given definition below? Askance is when other people blank about someone with doubt. A. Think. B. Thinks. C. Thought. D. Thinking. Which do you think is the answer? The answer is letter A. Part 2. Study the sentences below. Simplify the definition following the basic grammar rules and guidelines. 2 points each number. For example, gradual is a state that is moving, changing, or developing by proceeding by steps or degrees. And the answer is, gradual refers to proceeding by steps or degrees. Number 1. A conference is a meeting of two or more persons for discussing matters of common concern, and it is usually a formal interchange of views just like consultation. It is caucus. Number 2. Monarchy is a nation or state governed in the city of Saudi Arabia under time. It is monarchical government and an undivided rule or absolute sovereignty by a single person. Number 3. Intrinsic means belonging to the essential nature or constitution of a thing that is originating or due to causes within a body, organ, or part, to include the disease. Number 4. To heed is like what my brother always asks for. He wants to be noticed and pay him attention. Number 5. A plateau is a level of attainment or achievement in life, just like a person who reaches his or her dreams from life. It is a relatively stable level, period, or condition. It may also refer to a usually extensive land area having a relatively level surface raised sharply above adjacent land on at least one side. Congratulations, class! You have completed all the activities in this lesson.
And that's all for today, class. I hope that you learned something for today. So, goodbye and God bless!